We start our journey into the wonderful world of potatoes with roasted potatoes, next on Urban Kitchen Revolution. Hi, welcome back to Urban Kitchen Revolution. I'm Chef James Hudson. Today we're going to delve into the wonderful world of potatoes. And we're going to start with what seemingly would be the easiest way to make potatoes, and that's roasted potatoes. To do this properly, what we're going to do is a two-step process, which we're going to get started with first. The very first thing we want to do with potatoes, obviously, is we've got some nice, beautiful mini Yukon Gold potatoes here. You can use roasted red bliss. You can really use almost any kind of potato. I wouldn't necessarily recommend russet, the big bakers. The starch content just isn't really great for this. But what we're going to do is, and the first step for roasting potatoes, believe it or not, is actually blanching potatoes. And to do that, we're going to treat them just like we did carrots in the last episode. So let's get right at it. What we're going to do really basically is all we're going to do is cut these in half. I like to cut mine lengthways like this. If they're not perfectly round, let's grab a non-perfectly round one. So rather than cut like this, I want to cut the length of the potato like this. That way it just gives it a nicer, openness and more of a roasted as we get into it. And all we're going to do is we're just going to cut these and place them in a pot and cover them with cold water and salt, just like we did for carrots or any root vegetable for that matter. And bring them up to a boil. Let them simmer for about 5 minutes until they're just about tender, and then we're going to pull them off, strain them, and let them cool. So we're just going to basically go through that whole process here real fast and come back when the potatoes are blanched and ready to go. All right, so we're back. We have blanched and now are cooling off our potatoes. And now we're just going to get into the ingredients that we're going to add to our potatoes. Today we're going to roast them with a little bit of fresh thyme, fresh rosemary, and a couple of cloves of fresh garlic, and of course the trusty standby salt and pepper. So while I'm cutting these up, I thought I would explain why we went ahead and blanched the potatoes before we were roasting them, because it seems counterintuitive, I'm sure. So the reason we're blanching before we are roasting is really twofold. The first reason is that by blanching them, what we're doing, the potatoes rather, is we are creating all these little nooks and crannies within the potato itself. So during the cooking process, part of the starches are starting to break up along the potato in here, and it's creating at the microscopic level little holes and all sorts of crevices and nooks and crannies within it, and that'll allow that'll give you basically areas for caramelization during the roasting process, which will give you that nice uniform roasted texture. The other reason is that if we didn't pre-blanch them, by the time we got to fully cooked potatoes in the oven, if we just cut them, seasoned them, and threw them in the oven, we would basically, how do I want to say this? We would basically be cooking the potato and roasting the potato at the same time. And by the time the potato was fully cooked, it would actually be over roasted on the inside. And that's how you get that dried up, shriveled looking potato. And that's not what we're going for either. We're looking for a nice roasted inside, or a nice roasted outside, creamy, luscious outside. Scratch that, reverse that. We're looking for a nice roasted, crunchy outside and creamy inside of the potato without it being all wrinkled and over-dried and overcooked. So we've just taken 3 cloves of garlic, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of rosemary. Let's do a couple sprinkles of salt, 4 or 5 cracks of black pepper. Now, I'm going to take some olive oil here, some extra virgin just because I want to have that flavor transferred over when we do it all. And I'm just going to add olive oil to almost kind of like make a paste, as you can see, of all the ingredients in here. Okay? And we're just going to dump the potatoes in. If you want to use a spoon, use a spoon. I'm just going to go ahead and toss them like this. Get them nice and evenly coated. Now, in the oven, I have a roasting pan, in this case a paella pan, that I have preheated along with the oven. I have the oven preheated to 400 Fahrenheit or about 200 Celsius. We're going to pull that out, dump this on here, and so let's just do that real quick. So, again, nice hot pan. We're going to dump the potatoes in here. And I already start to hear them sizzle real nice. Now I'm going to shake them out to get them in one layer. And I like to get all my potatoes flesh side down into the roasting pan for this initial cooking, because that'll help get a more even caramelization of all the fleshy parts, which is kind of what you're going for anyway. So this will just kind of expedite it. And we're just about there. Like I said, we're going to throw this in a 400 or 200 degrees Celsius oven for about 8 minutes. Pull it out and give it a quick stir, and then throw it back in for another 4 or 5. So here we go. Into the oven she goes. Look how beautiful those are already. And we'll come back in 5 minutes and see how we're doing. Okay, so we've had the potatoes in the oven for about 6 or 7 minutes now. We'll go ahead and pull them out and give them a quick stir. Whoops, lost one. We just want to kind of recoat everything. Looking really nice right now. They're starting to brown. Not getting too brown, and as you see, they're not shriveling up. And if you take a fork, you can see that these are done. So we're just going to let them get a little creamier. We're going to do them about another 4 minutes in the oven real fast after we give them all a good quick stir. And there we go. So back in the oven they go. Come back in 5 minutes and we'll plate these bad boys up. All right, so here we are. Roasted potatoes. We had them in, I guess, to review. We just blanched these real quick for about 5 minutes and let them cool. Mixed up a little rosemary, thyme, some garlic, some olive oil, salt and pepper. Set that to the side. Hit these with just a little bit more fresh kosher salt, a little cracked black pepper, a little bit of parsley just for giggles. And there we go, roasted Yukon Gold potatoes. As you can see, they've got a nice little beginning of a crust on the outside, especially on the flesh side. Not all wilted, super creamy in the middle, great texture, ready to rock and roll. A+ every single time. So that's it. So that's roasted potatoes. Be sure to join me next time when we jump into the wonderful world of mashed potatoes, one of really everyone's favorite, especially coming up for this holiday season. And like I said, this will just be the very beginning of our wonderful potato journey. Once again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that like button, subscribe. I can also be found on the internet at urbankitchenrevolution.com, as well as Twitter at James Hudson UKR, and of course Facebook at Urban Kitchen Revolution. Again, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for mashed potatoes. Until then, keep cooking and join the revolution. Bye.